your success or failure.
Say it again. Say it again.
The law of the inner circle says the leader's potential is determined by those closest to him or her. Jesus had 12 disciples. That was his team. But he also had an inner circle. Who was in the inner circle?
Followers?
No. Who was Jesus' inner circle?
Peter.
There you go. Peter, James, and John.
Okay.
That was the inner circle.
Okay.
He took them with him wherever he went. But the other 9, they were part of the team. Now, but there are 3 who was in his inner circle.
In fact, that was one of my questions right now.
Huh?
That was one of my questions was, is the team the same as the inner circle? But you didn't answer.
Yes. The inner circle is part of the team, but the inner circle is closer to you. It's closer to, they have special status, special responsibility, special whatever.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Me, Ken. Yeah. The inner circle. Your inner circle is going to determine your success or your failure. It's like Mayweather. You always hear he talks about the Mayweather team. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not saying that Jesus was his.
No, they didn't determine his success or failure. Yeah, no, not that case. That's an inner. But I'm just showing you, he had an inner circle. But for us, thank you. Yeah, thank you. No, there's a difference. Yes, your inner circle. Your inner circle is those you rely on, those you trust, those who can contribute to you. Now, what we don't know is why Jesus chose Peter, James, and John. Many people speculate maybe they were rougher than the rest and they need more training. What do y'all think? Why did he choose those for his inner circle, not Andrew, not Philip? What do you think? Dave?
Show his power, the glory of God. I mean, Peter was kind of a, well, he was a fisherman.
He's a Spartan.
When he spoke to the Pharisees, how they were amazed what this man could speak, and I believe it's through the Holy Spirit. So God uses the weak to show his power and glory.
All right. Harper, what do you think? Why did he choose those 3 for his inner circle? What criteria did he use? That's my question, I guess.
Well, I think he knew their heart, and he knew that they wanted to do the things that were right, and they probably didn't have any problem with them following him or going along with his ideas.
All right, Harvey, what criteria do you think he used? If you want someone in your inner circle like your wife, you have a criteria. You have some reason why you want the person closer to you.
Well,
let me give you a clue. If you cannot trust a person with your wife, they should not be in your inner circle. All right. If you are wondering, does this, when I turn my back, are they going to pick on my wife? They don't belong in your inner circle.
They don't belong anywhere around me.
There you go.
But I will say that Christ will let upon them, I think, region Christ will let them.
Okay.
So he said, because in the whole scripture, they're the one who write books. Peter.
Yeah.
My theory is they were rougher than the rest. So they need specialized.
Sons of Zebedee.
But not John.
Yes, they were rough.
James and John. Those are the sons of thunder.
They were the sons of thunder, man.
But John the Beloved was always on Jesus' chest.
That's after he was transformed.
Yeah. The James and John, those were the hot-headed brothers, man.
They were the men who cussed and what. Anyway, JB.
And I'm just saying, he, like you said, he knew their heart, he knew their character, he knew what they were, so he drew them close to him. And I think when you draw those closer to you, too, and then you know that the effect that they have on others that are around them. In the past, he's probably seen how people react to them. So it's like, hey, you know what? These brothers just go, I'm gonna pull them close to me.
Yeah.
I know when I speak, the things I say, and if there's something you take, they're gonna take care of it. Even though they have their flaws, he knew out of the whole group, this was the one that And he could see, you know, he knew the beginning from the end, so he knew where they stood and how he could affect the others.
Okay, I buy that. Yes.
I think when I wrote, when I read Peter, John, or Peter, what they wrote, they were both seeing Jesus in a very different way. For example, Peter is the first to acknowledge that Jesus is more than just a man. So it proved that this man specifically was a kind of person whose heart was really open to what is divine. And when you read John, John has a kind of relation with Jesus, which is like a man with his wife, or like friends.
He was close.
Really, really close. He perceived Jesus more intimately than any one of the other disciples. When you read his writing, it's about of who Jesus is as your friend. Now, when you know about James, James is the one who lead the church standing in Jerusalem. So which means, in order for a person like that to stand in Jerusalem when Christianity was fought in Jerusalem, he was a man who has a strong heart. Okay. So I think with those people, Jesus addresses all the world of kind of people. Because James was the one who led the church in Israel, in Jerusalem. Peter, and I like Peter because Peter is different from the common leadership. I usually take the case of Apostle Paul. When Peter was wrong, let's remember that Apostle Paul was someone who was killing Christians. But it is to him that God made the revelation of preaching to the pagan. And Peter has this humility to acknowledge that he, Peter, who was appointed by Jesus as the chief of the church, he was wrong. And this, for the murderer, was right.
That's interesting. That's an interesting spin on it.
I also think that we understand that Christ was divine, but he was also human.
Yes.
And as a human, we naturally are going to gravitate to those who over time have proven that they can be trusted. So the Mount of Transfiguration in Matthew 16, I believe it was, he takes them up, those three up, because he expects them to be able to support him in prayer more so than the others did. Now, obviously, in the Garden of Gethsemane, they all fell asleep, but he's expecting over time, because of his humanity, he realizes these are the ones who have been in the trenches with me far more than the others. So I'd imagine it's only over time that these three were chosen. It wasn't like he chose 12 and says, you three are going to be my inner circle. Over time, he realized these guys are a little bit closer.
All right, let's give you, if you have a pen, start writing, or a pencil or whatever. Let me break this down. To determine whether you're in a circle, John Maxwell in this chapter here, he says, number one, does this person have high influence with others? I know Claxton laughed when I always say this, but I'm going to say it. Leadership is about influence. Now, there are some people who don't have influence, and they cannot draw anybody. If when you sit at the table, the only thing you can draw to you is flies and mosquitoes, your influence is not good. I'm sorry. Your influence is not good. So you have to have influence. The other thing he mentioned, can you produce? Can you produce results? No excuses, no nothing. Can you produce? When it comes to crunch time, when the shots start fire in the battlefield, you and I know this, can you produce? Or will, your training is supposed to kick in? Because the more you train, the more you sweat in training is the less you bleed in war. All right? Can you produce? If you can't produce, you shouldn't have the person in a circle. Number three, does the person add value to your team? Hudson, if they don't add value, that's a waste of time. That's just a waste of time.
I call it asset. Are you an asset to
Or a liability.
Or liability. Your liability, I don't need you on the team.
Yeah, you don't need a person. Now, when we cover the law of the teamwork, here's what we said. If you're leading a team, whether you're in church or whatever, you have 4 things you need to do with your team. And JB will back me up on this. If the person is not performing in basketball, what do? You trade them.
Or bench.
Or you bench them. Or you train them. You see what I'm saying? You trade. Now, as a person, you trade them. If they're not performing, trade for a better player. If you can't trade, then you train. If you can't train, then you bench. All right, in church they call it censure.
Or you're just not nominated again.
You're just not, yes. But if your team is not performing, your inner circle, you know what is going to happen? Your team is going to become demoralized. That's the first thing. And the second thing, they're going to start questioning the competence of the leader. Because when the leader won't take action with a bad team player, people are going to say, wait a minute, is this leader blind? Does he not see what's going on? If you don't act, your credibility and your competence is going to come into question. That's what's going to happen. All right. So 4 C's. Does the person have competence? You look at 4 C's. If the person isn't competent, it's all over. The second C, does the person have character or integrity? If you can't trust them with your wife, they don't belong on your team. Competence is 1, character is number 2. Number 3, chemistry. Do we get along? If you and your wife don't get along, I mean, there's no need, we're not. Okay? Competence, character, chemistry. Do we get along? Now, some teams, they just can't get along. They hate each other. They don't work together as a team. If you have a person on your team, you can't be going to Indianapolis and the other person going to Minneapolis. It doesn't work that way. Chemistry. We've got to get along. And the last C is what they call calling. If you're a minister or whatever, you don't feel the calling of God on your life. You think this is just a regular job. No. Competence, character, chemistry, and calling. And then we go to 4 E's. Now this one is going to be tough for you. JB, hold on to your pen. 4 E's. So you look at the 4 C's, then you look at the 4 E's. The first E, Jackson told you look at the person's energy level. Have you ever seen people over 65? They walk, they have a trade. Seriously, go to the mall or the airport and watch some people, even in their 40s, and they're walking and they're just shuffling along. You know their best days are behind them. I'm serious. When you go to the airport, go out in the parking lot and look at some people just walk from their car. And you can see, I'm serious, their energy level is not there.
But that's not associated with age all the time, right? I mean, you can have a young person with no low energy or an older person with a lot of energy.
Yes. But always, if a person comes to your job for an interview, look at the person's energy level.
So why you have to say over 65? Why you got to bring age into it?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But if the person is just shuffling along, if your better days or your best days is behind you, you are done. If your hair is gone, that's no problem. Mine is gone. But you still have to have energy. You still have to, but always, if you have to hire a person, I don't care where you are, look at the person's energy level. Believe me, whether men or women, you see some people, and you see how they move, you can, oh my God, there's no energy level here. They're just, I got this idea from Donald Trump. He labeled Jeb Bush low energy. So that's where I got the idea from, low energy Jeb Bush. But a person's energy level, I look at how they walk, how they dress, or whatever. And if you can't pick up, you hold your head down, you want to shuffle. I mean, come on. Your best days are behind you. That is something nobody can lie about, your energy level. Because who you are, how you walk from your car, that's how you walk from your car.
I want to give
Yes, sir.
If I could. Because I was thinking about what you said, the C's and the chemistry. When we nominate people for the church, we're not nominating chemistry.
Mm-hmm. But you should.
But they don't. They just put people in there, and you may not get along with that person, but that's the person you.
No, because I would say this last year.
Yeah.
I would say if a name came up, and then somebody on the committee would say maybe they wouldn't work together.
Well, that's how they call it.
That's how they should do it. Mm-hmm. Right. But
did that happen with every?
No, I'm saying if a name came up. Mm-hmm. Somebody on the committee would say, well, I don't think that's a good idea because of chemistry.
Because the two don't,
right.
There's some people, they're unreliable,
in the past,
they're late, you can't depend on them, they find fault, they fussing, and there's some people, I saw 2 people on Dr. Phil, and they couldn't agree. One thought the tissue should be rolled off this way, and another one said the other way because they were left-handed. And there were a couple, and they were quarreling about which way the tissue should go on. And I'm like, you ought to be thankful you have tissue in there. I'm serious, they couldn't. The wife wanted the tissue to roll off this way, and the husband wanted to roll off at the top. And they were at loggerheads over it. And they couldn't get along. You do have to. I've seen. But maybe they need 2 different bathrooms then, if they, but you can't even agree on that. But there's some things, was it Dave, what's the gentleman's name? Who wrote Don't Sweat the Small Stuff? Who wrote that book? I can't remember, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. But anyway, back to the 4 E's. First is energy. Yeah. If the person's energy is low, no. And Dave, you see people work for you, I mean, they're unmotivated, they just, in the military, you remember JB, you had to run everywhere you were going. Yes, officer training school or even basic, you have to run. You have to, no, you can't just walk. But look at the person's energy level. If their energy level, they can't lie about that. The second E is look if the person is an energizer. Can they energize others? You have to have energy and you have to be able to energize others. The 2 seem to go together. If you're low energy, you're not going to be able to energize anybody to do anything. All right, that's the second. The third E, and this one is going to keep you up all night. Do you have the edge? E-D-G-E. That's the third E. The edge means, can you make a tough decision? I'm not going to ask you, when you come to the interview or whatever, tell me 3 or 4 tough situations that you face where you had to make a tough call. You see people say, well, on one hand it could go this way, and on the other hand it could go the other way, and they can't make a tough decision. I know a couple, they have been separated for 13 years, and the wife and the husband, they can't make a decision whether to divorce. Well, I'm serious. There are people, that's the third E. Do you have the edge? If you cannot make a tough call, I don't need you on my team. Well, let me ask what this person, let me ask what, no, decide. Take action. In the military, we have what you call ACTE. You assess the situation, you create a simple plan, you take action, and then you evaluate. If you miss the target, then you drop your aim or whatever. But assess the situation, create a simple plan, take action, and then evaluate.
Now, couldn't you argue that someone who does not have the edge could be valuable as long as you're not the leader? In other words, the leader makes a tough choice.
Your inner circle.
Inner circle. Okay.
If you can't make a tough decision, sometimes you are away. Maybe it's a financial decision. It may not always be right, but you can't call me every time something goes wrong or what. You have to decide.
No, but what I'm hearing him say is this person is part of a circle, and they are the person who's just talking about the different pros and cons, but not making a decision. Now, then even the leader to make.
So give you perspective, good perspective.
Right, just give good perspective.
And then someone else makes a tough call.
But when you're in the inner circle, there are things that come up whether you're home. Your wife don't have to call you every time. She just decided.
That's right.
You know, if you have a vice president or whatever, you leave the person in charge. I'm on vacation unless the building, someone is shot or there's a fire. Take action and, you know, do the best you can under the circumstances.
But you're still talking about the second in command. So, for example, for a department like personal ministries, for example, since the leader's here. All right, so you have a personal ministries department, but not everybody on that team has to make a tough choice. He would, and maybe his second in command would.
But what if he's out?
Second in command.
But what I'm saying is there are some people who can't make it. They can't.
So every person on the team needs to be able to make the tough decision.
You need to be. If you can't make a tough decision, you don't belong.
But
I'm gonna get Jamie first.
But that goes. I think that comes with your leadership style and how you train the people that work with you within that circle. They have to know they have the autonomy to make a decision. You have to instill that upon them.
Empower them.
Yeah, empower them so they know, hey, you know what? I got to take care of business. He expects, just like.
And you will support them.
And I will support them because anytime you run something, or you're in charge, you get hit by a bus, you run over, it should never stop. That's right. It should run just like it might hit a little, but it should never stop.
Yes.
You should have those things in place.
We have, my wife have people who work for her, and no matter, she's on vacation, and they can't make a decision. There was someone who got shot in the library last year in Pima County, and what should I do? I have to call the police, someone gets shot. They can't make a decision. They can't decide. Well, no. The fire alarm goes off and the sprinkler, well, let me call my boss. No. Yes.
He had a question too, that guy back there.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, all right.
I think when you're dealing with church and dealing with people in ministry, it's different. It has to be. Because oftentimes in church, you're ministering to those that are also in that department. It's not just about ministering out there. Sometimes you're ministering to those that are involved in that department. And so you can't be just, well, okay, trade them, cut them, or whatever. You have to consider, when you say making a tough decision, is it, do I put this person aside, or do we minister to this person and try to work with this person? You know what I'm saying? Instead of, it's a little different than when you're in a business.
I understand, but I'll give you two examples. Yesterday we were at church. Was it yesterday? It was last week. Gentleman came to church, had his alcohol, and I'm watching JB, and he has his alcohol in his bottle, and he's going into church. Okay, and JB said, no, you can't go in there with open container alcohol. You just can't go in there. And the man, he looked or whatever, and JB told, you have to put it down. And he went out and he threw out the liquor and then he went in there. Now some people say, well, you came to church, you know, and it's for control.
But that ain't what I'm talking about. But okay.
But yes, here's the thing. I get you. The lesson deals with your inner circle. It doesn't deal with, it deals with your inner circle. That's the lesson. Who are you going to have in your inner circle?
But the inner circle is nominated by the church. You're not nominating these people. They're nominated by the church.
Tim.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the inner circle. No, but okay, although they nominate you, that doesn't necessarily mean necessarily in the circle.
That's your team, maybe.
That's your team.
Yes.
That's not your.
Then you have in the circle.
But you have
in fact, then people on your team will have to be part of your inner circle.
That's right.
Okay, I understand that, but when he's talking about the hard decisions.
In order to get in your inner circle, I'm saying you have to have criteria. You have to have criteria. If you don't trust the person, why do you want them close to you?
Because it's not always about me. It's about the ministry. It's about...
You still have to be trustworthy.
It's about... I understand that. Okay.
You still have to be trustworthy.
All right.
You still have to be...
Now this came up. It came up a couple of months ago.
Okay.
And I remember, I think it was Nephis who was saying, well, everyone should be in my inner circle. And so we gave the example, if your car has a flat tire and you're on, the south side of town, who would you call? Would you call just any member of the church who happened to be in the vicinity? He says, well, it should be that way. I should be able to call anybody who lives close by.
That's not real, though, huh?
No, you know who to trust. I have a short list of 3 people who I would call.
There you go. That's your inner circle. Right. That's your inner circle. A team, yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question.
You made the cut.
How, say, the personal ministry leader. I have another being created by the church to help me in the group. And then, in comparison to the inner circle, can I as a leader, look at those people that have been chosen by the church and pick a group of people to be my inner circle?
Yes, because your team is like the larger group, and your inner circle is those closest to you. If a team has been assigned to you, you have to evaluate who is competent, who isn't, who is trustworthy, who isn't, who is dependable, who is not. You have to assess your team. And everybody on your team will not have the same talent, skill, and ability. You see what I'm saying? It may take you a month, it may take you 3 months before you decide, if I'm away, this is the person I want to be my number 2. But you have to assess your team to determine. If your team was given to you, what does this lesson say? What Maxwell did, I do it all the time. When he started at Skyline Church and he evaluated his team, he noticed some were in the top third, some were in the middle, and some were at the bottom. At the bottom, non-performers, that's what I call low-hanging fruit. You remove them and replace them with people 10 times better. And every year you do the same thing. But if the person is not performing, as I said, you can train, you can bench, but as a leader, the choice is not yours. Well, I'm going to leave it alone. The 4th E, right? This guy's the 4th E. So the first E was energy. The second E was the person has to be energizer. The 3rd E was the edge, the ability to make tough decisions. That was the 3rd E. The last E, can you execute? Talk is cheap. Once we make a decision at the board level or whatever, if you can't go out in the field and execute that decision. Now, JB, many people talk the plot, the plan, but it's time to put your plan in action. Can you execute? When I give you a job, can you follow through? There are some people who can't execute. Ask them to unload that truck, and they say, well, do I take this off the side? Do I take this off? Just take the load off the truck.
Right. Hello. So,
if you can't execute, yes, sir.
So, to understand, you coaching us now. You can't go and execute what you taught us, and then we fail.
You fail. You have to be able to execute.
Exactly.
It's like boxing. When the bell rings, you can't say, well, what did the trainer say? What did we cover in training? No.
It's go time.
Training, that's over. When the football game starts, it's all about execution. You may be wrong, but if you make a mistake, you correct it. You learn from it. But it's time for action. When the air traffic control says take off, the pilot doesn't say, no. It's time for you to get that plane off the ground. You have to execute. So for the inner circle, it's the 4 C's and the 4 E's. All right, if you can remember that, you're onto something. Now, did I forget anything?
I want to give an example. I was just thinking about this. On my job, I have like 5 direct reports. Out of those 5 people, only one person is I consider as part of my inner circle.
Only one.
Yeah. Out of those people.
And how did you determine that?
Because of building relationship and when I say do something, the person execute. They make tough decisions. And when I was on vacation, I didn't have to worry about anything. The person was handling the business. And then when she called me, there was something that was urgent that I needed to help make the decision. Otherwise, the thing was running smoothly.
Very good. That's the way it should. And you have to have one last thing before we do our experiment. You have to give the person parameters. For example, I would say to my team, if there's something that I could be sued about, a litigation, call me. If there's a felony happen, a person get raped, a person get assaulted, if there's a felony or a fire or something serious, even though I'm on vacation, call me, let me know. They will be taking care of it, but they just inform you there was a fire. Okay, I know you're going to call the fire department. Someone got shot, the police has been involved. We're going to, they will live. We'll make sure they're in the hospital, they're in the trauma care, whatever. They just inform you. If you can be sued about something, you need to tell the person in your inner circle. There are certain things they know. It's like if something bad happened, you're here and your house get burglarized, your wife can take it, but she's going to call you and say, you need to maybe not go to the golf club. Maybe you need to head home right now. But you need to empower the person. All right.